Hello, everyone. We're back as promised, albeit a few weeks late, but it's okay because
I
we
thought
are
we'd have the finished group by now, but we ended
same,
up
which
with a
is
clip show.
why
We
which
ended
is
up with a clip show.
clip show. Have you watched the clip show?
I have, sort of, kind of,
I
but
have sort of, kind of as well.
so it's just me and Dan today, Sammy and Dan, talking about Island because no one else wants to watch this show.
When we do watch it, we get judged for it, or at least I do.
Harshly judged. But so we're gonna talk about episodes. What is it? 4, 5, 6, and 7 because nothing happened in episode 7.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that. So,
Well,
what did you overall think of these new developments?
New developments. All right. So the biggest thing to enjoy this, I didn't go look at what other people are talking about. So I had no real idea how this direction was going to go. I didn't know they would do this whole final 12 halfway through. And I'm like, is the show over? Is it not? I don't understand. So I was a bit confused and taken a bit off guard, which is fine because I think I finally caught on after going and sort of figuring it out in the light of these last episodes. So I think I get it, what's going on, but not really. And I feel like it's going to be thrown out the window as soon as I figure it out again.
I think what is happening now is that we are now in the limbo of there are 6 people that have already essentially won, and there are 6 people that are going to win. So we have half of the group already made. We need the other half, and then after that episode, which will probably happen in episode 8, and then episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12 are going to be, and this is just my bet, they're going to have some challenges where they have always that, looming threat of one of you or multiple of you can get kicked out of this group. It can not be 12, it can be 9, it can be 8, it can be a 5-member group.
Yep.
Who knows? But my thing will always be is I'm betting it now, it's going to end up being a 12-member group. They're not going to kick anybody. They might kick somebody and do what they've done on a bunch of JYP shows where they kick them and then bring them back. But I do think that they're not going to, fully kick anybody out after this 12.
I think they've been pushing the 12 number for too long that I feel like if they don't debut with 12, it might blow back in their face. I could totally see them kicking people and changing back.
Yeah.
But I feel like people will be like, well, this is whole pointless because you promised us 12. And there's been a lot of big 12-member groups coming out. So.
And 12-member groups are not the most uncommon thing, nor are they at this point. I don't think. I mean, there's always been 12-member groups in K-pop. We literally, at the time of recording, 3 days ago, Treasure debuted.
Yep. So,
Treasure, The Boys, 17 is 13. Super Junior was at one point 13 people. It's not that uncommon, and Big Hit needs a bigger, and Big Hit can use a bigger group. They have the small groups covered. They have a small group with TXT. They have a medium-sized group with BTS. They now have a big group with whatever the island group will be called.
Yep.
I'm curious what they're gonna be called.
I am too. I wonder if they'll make...
They can't be called Island.
I don't think so. Do you think they'll ever reuse Island and have a girl group or something like that? Because they are talking about making a girl group, but...
Yeah, but I don't think Big Hit has been so weary of making a girl group for years after what happened with Glam, which that is a roller coaster, that I don't know if the first thing that they're gonna do for a girl group is going to be also opening it up to influence from the public. And to all of the unknown variables that come from making a reality show. I don't know if that's how Big Hit wants to do their first girl group in, 8 years.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But
we'll go from there, but we have to talk about the current show that we're watching, not the future shows that might happen. And with the way Mnet's going, God knows if the next season of Island will ever happen. We saw what happened with Kingdom. Which, thank God, I'm not spending all year reviewing Mnet reality shows. I wasn't supposed to podcast this. If you watch our bloopers, I'm now just a liar.
It's okay, because I wasn't going to watch it either. And then I'm like, well, it's here, so might as well.
We're just doing this now, and I'm never watching another one. I say this, I'm gonna do it. I'm putting a blanket statement that I'm probably gonna be called out as a liar for later. I'm not watching another one of these shows again. The most I'm gonna do is a Kingdom or a Queendom or a Road to Kingdom. I'm not doing this. This is emotionally taxing.
I won't say anything because I'll probably end up watching another anyway.
Look, this podcast has already proved me a liar. Why not again?
Why not again? That's true.
Why not again?
You're already on the road to it anyway, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the beginning of episode 4 was the ground's performance of Fire. Which was essentially just a little bit... It was good. I'm not saying it was bad. It's just with the outfits that they're all wearing, it's really... And with the fact that they all have essentially the same haircut, I'm like, I can't...
There's
like,
nothing
what
to
are
make
you
it
doing?
special
I can't,
in any way.
Like, none of you are standing out to me. Like, I thought that Daniel and Jake stood out.
Right.
But that's also because I'm looking for Daniel and Jake at all times.
Right. I agree with you. Like, it was hard to really care for it. I think the producers said it was like, oh, this is so much better because I wish I could just have this group debut, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I don't know.
It doesn't work out well like that. They have
to say that they did well, I guess. I don't know. So it was kind of alright, but they were able to bring up the 4 people that were kicked from Island to come up. And that was
K. Oh, we have to remember K got
K was number.
He got the highest score. Thus,
he
relieved the dropout exemption card, where
true.
he could save. They would show the 4 people that got eliminated from Island, and okay, these are the 4 people. Do you K want to save any of them? And he did. He ended up saving Jungwon, who got, I think, like 5 votes. And so the next person that was up for elimination, because again, 4 people still had to leave, was Taki, which he instantly burst into tears because they're just... And he had no idea it was going to be Taki. He didn't know, and now it's like so depressing.
And they kept bringing it up during the entire show. So when he said he was going to save him, we could sort of see it coming.
I mean, you can see the writing on the wall, but I think in the moment he didn't think that Taki... He didn't think anybody would vote for Taki, I think, because he's not... But again, yeah, so it ends up being Taki, Youngwon, Taeyoung, and Sonu that go down, and Jae, Jake, Kangmin, and Youngbin come up. And essentially, Jae and Jake are just living a life. They're very happy to be back. They're back.
And they kind of belong. So
they do.
They were happy.
They do. And I think that both Youngbin and Kangmin, they did well.
They did. They adjusted, but they're also
but they also seemed to be
Youngbin had been coming up and down now.
Yeah, he's like in like that weird like 13-14 spot where they keep bouncing him up and down, where he's not like, you have the people that are solidly solid, and then you have the people that just keep coming up and down, like in that 13, 14, 15 position where it's just ping-ponging back and forth.
Yeah.
So
immediately as they enter, they're all finally reacquainted, and they're immediately given a challenge, and it's a different one.
This is technically the 4th challenge. This is technically the quote-unquote last challenge. Again, I kind of had a feeling that there had to be more to this show, because they were going through these challenges so quickly. Like, you could have spaced out these challenges, made them more intricate, made them longer if they wanted to, but they didn't. They kind of smushed all the challenges together and like, well, we're only on episode 4 and we're already doing the last challenge. How is this gonna work?
Right. So for this challenge, they had to choose representatives, and they were separated into vocal teams and dance teams. So they would choose 2 vocalists represent their whole group, because this is also a competition between Island and Ground. So Island had to vote for 2 people to be on a vocal team. Ground had to vote for 2 people to be on a vocal team. And then...
And essentially... Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, and then I was going to say that in the dance team, they had 3 each as well.
Yep. And then essentially, if Island wins, nothing happens. If Ground wins, 6 people swap, essentially.
Yep.
And I think it was an overall, so if like Island, let's say Island won vocal, but they lost dance, it's the total number of scores between
versus
the two.
each other.
Yes, the total number. So, and the songs that they had to do was for vocal, they had BTS's Butterfly for Island, and Ground got BTS's Save Me.
Yep.
2 amazing songs, 2 of my favorite songs, personally, for BTS, and they're not easy. BTS does not have necessarily the most, and I'll even admit this, I love BTS's vocalists. They're not necessarily the most powerful, but they have such a unique character to them that, like, I mean, this is even, like, with Fire, like, you saw, like, BTS, they're not super, like, on paper, they're not super difficult songs, but the character that BTS brings to everything that they do is difficult to replicate, which is why it's hard to do an amazing BTS cover. And I think that both groups did extremely well.
Yes. I think as a whole, the performances for all 4 performances were really good and really entertaining for what they were.
Yeah.
So that was great.
So
there was a lot of drama with the whole swapping, because they were also told you can switch roles.
Yeah, you can switch roles at any time, which is interesting. But I don't think there was that much of a... I think the vocal teams were very... Because I think by this point, all of these challenges have had vocal elements to them. And I think everybody knows who the standout vocalists are.
Yes.
And so, essentially, Gungyu and Haesung are basically chosen to represent Island.
Which is our favorite boys. So we're
our 2 favorite
excited.
boys!
We're just like, why am I not surprised?
Obviously. I think Haesung was more of a, like, definite, because I think everybody has that thing with him just...
Oh, if anyone's going to represent something, he has to represent.
It will be him. He has to be there.
Right.
And then... I think Gungyu had a bit more of it was like, who is that second person gonna be? Because it could have been him. I think that I also... Jungwon. And I think that Sunghoon. I think at one point they also thought about him for vocal. Because both of them are great vocalists. I do love both of their vocals. But, like, I think Gungyu is just...
By far.
I mean, we'll get to the next challenge where I have thoughts about the judging... But for me, he's a standout. Like, he is the best vocalist for me.
It was the easy pick for us. Like, I was like, oh, it's going to be those 2. And then they chose those 2. And I was like, yes, that is correct.
Even though the judging for the next...
All right, we'll get to the next one.
I have thoughts. Okay, so then Island's dance team, it's a medley of 3 songs. Which is really funny, because there's a G-Dragon song in both of them.
Well, it's because they both had to create their own choreo for...
But
that's
it's
the
just
thing.
funny
they were
that they
given...
both had... It's not Big Bang songs. It's 2 GD songs.
Yeah.
So it was... Dylan had Rainism by Rain, Dope Boys by Dynamic Duo, and One of a Kind by G-Dragon.
Yes.
Which it was great. I loved this performance. So this is where but this is also where the drama comes.
Because it was originally going to be Jungwon, who is a vocalist, who
can also dance.
Apparently, which is why they were surprised.
But, like,
I mean, they could all dance, but he's shown.
But also, like, they were him and we'll get there.
And then
also K.
K was the first
K is
choice,
the obvious
and
choice.
Also
the correct choice.
The correct choice. They were also told because both Ground and Island were given One of a Kind by G-Dragon, they had to create their own little choreography piece for that last song. Because they were given
the thing with K is that he's already been choreographing bits of everything at all times. And I'm like, this is exactly what he needs to be doing.
Exactly.
But drama comes with Jay.
Who else?
We've come around a lot on Jay. I like him.
Me too,
come around.
But at this point, We were
At
both
this
very
point, we were still
confused
little.
and like skeptical of
We
why
were,
did they choose him.
We were hesitant.
It was
But the
funny.
thing with it really is that there's one move, there's a spin, which again, not a move that usually idols. It's also not a common move that idols
No.
would do. Just a random spin right there. It's also really tailored to the person who comes in later's talents, but Jay cannot get it. Like it's like
It's
days
hard.
before.
You have to
It's
do
not
it.
easy. It's not easy. So he is just not getting it though.
It's another one of those scenarios where we'll talk about it with the grounds performance as well. But when they're given the choreograph, it's clearly suited for some people.
Yes.
Like,
and I do think in a way it might be intentionally suited for...
I think so as well. Because
I
I
think
still
it's,
think
like,
the producers
almost-
have their people that they like. And they're like, well, I know he can do this move, so let's see if they
But not just
put
that.
him
In
here.
a way it also could be like this whole ground... island is to make a team.
Right.
Thus, they are essentially presenting you a problem and be like, find the solution to this problem. There is one obvious solution, and it's
Let's
because
put the
Jay
figure
can't get
skater.
it. But the figure skater, it's essentially like, if you've ever seen figure skating moves, it's essentially, you jump and you spin. That's a lot of figure skating moves.
Double axle.
It's a double axle.
It's
And essentially, it's an easier double axle because you're on the ground and you're just literally jumping
Standing.
up and doing a double axle. And he's actually shown a double axle when they first got into Island. That's one of the things they asked if he could do. Well, they asked him if he could do a triple axle, which is wrong.
Wrong
But he did
question.
show them a double axle. He did actually just show them that move right when he walked into Island. And I do think maybe the producers were like, well, can we just put that move into a dance and see if these children are like
Smart
have
enough
like
to
can
figure it
can
out.
they like logic this out of like, wait a minute, he can do it.
Yeah, and so it
It's
was
like a
really
logic
cool is
puzzle.
the transition from Jay to Sunken, because it wasn't an easy switch.
No,
Because
I mean, it was
obviously he
also,
didn't
like,
want to.
It's also like no one really like everyone sort of saw the writing on the wall of like,
All right,
because also
and
like Sunghoon
Jay
didn't
even
want to
saw
take it.
He was like,
Jay
I didn't want
wanna
to do
give
it.
up,
I really
but,
wanted
like,
to try hard, but I also realized I can't
but
do the
at
move,
one
and
point
he can.
you realize that it's like a day and a half before the performance is happening and I can't do it, and if I fall flat on my face, we're screwed.
Right. So he basically gives up the part to him and then
And
helps
then
him with it.
teaches Sunghoon
Exactly.
his part, which again, that's sort of where the transition for Jay, and I think it might have been a lot of editing, turns around to him just being a very good team player when he needs to be a team player. I feel like in the beginning he was trying so individually, and I think his real growth was learning that this is a team sport.
Yeah. And that was Island, and we'll talk about how we compare it to them both after we
And
cover ground.
Sunghoon, I think, yeah.
Sorry?
So, and Sunghoon, I think, was also very hesitant to take it.
He
That's
was,
the other
because
thing I
he was
wanted to
also like, I
mention
don't
it.
want to make this awkward. This is literally a day and a half after. Like, I don't really, like, it's a lot of pressure on me, but also, if I mess up, I'm the first to get kicked out because
Exactly,
I
because
messed it up.
Yeah, I took over.
I took over a spot and then failed.
But like he did, like he effortlessly. Because again, I'm just scrolling through a bunch of stuff about this show, and I've seen clips of him figure skating,
Oh, yeah.
and he was good.
He was good. And then,
He was
but like,
really good, and like
And when-
like this kind of like the moves that they were giving him. Like if you just look at his figures, if you look at any figure skating routine, that's sort of part of it.
right.
And I'm just like, of
Well,
course.
they asked him if he could do the actual move, and then he just did it like 4 times in a
Yeah,
row
he just
perfectly.
did
and
it
Jay was like,
perfectly.
"Let's let him try," and he's like, "Oh, I can't do it." So yeah, that was Island. They did well. And then
then
we have
Ground.
Ground, which for the vocal team they did Save Me, and they chose Sunu to be representative. He really wanted it. And then for their other vocalist, they chose Sungchul. But at the midweek evaluation, they were basically saying like, "Oh, I don't think you're doing too well.
Well,
Who else wants to try out the
Try.
part, or who can do the part?" And then Daniel tried it, and it sounded great.
like Daniel. I mean, I think it was also the fact that like Daniel didn't have too many chances. Like he always would get like middle parts. Like, there was nothing, like, he never did a standout.
Right.
That,
he
like,
also
this was his
tried for the
shine.
role originally, but his voice was all messed up. I think he was from the Fire performance or
Between the Fire performance and I think he might have been, I think they mentioned that he was sick.
Yeah. So he couldn't sing the part.
Didn't do well.
So after a while, they showed his compilation of him practicing super hard, and then this was his chance to perform it, and he did really well, and they were like, well, I think Daniel's better suited for the part, but it's up to you guys, and then walks off. And so when the performance actually came up, Daniel was in the lineup.
That was Rain, right?
Yeah.
I love Rain on this show. Can we take a minute side tangent to talk about Rain on this show, where he's like, look, it's entirely up to you, but this is exactly what you need to do to be successful.
Yes.
I am laying this out for you.
But I
am
can't
essentially
force you.
presenting everything to you on a silver platter of here is everything you have to do.
I will even teach you the move.
I will even teach you
step
everything.
out of line, and I'll go do the performance for you, and then you can see it.
And just
see
copy
what
I'm
do
doing.
as well. Exactly.
And then he just presents everything and is like, here's exactly what you need to do. But again, it's up to you. And then walks off into the night.
But that's kind of what you want from a mentor. He's leading you,
look,
but he's not going to tell you.
I will say this right now, and people can come for me. Rain, infinitely more useful than Zico.
I don't think Zico's given any valuable information other than...
The problem with Zico is Zico has a very particular skill set, which is to rap.
And it hasn't
And
come
none
up
of
yet.
these challenges have worked for rapping, and now he's in the military, so he has nothing to do.
Sad.
So he did nothing. I'm sorry, Zico, but
Zico.
he was a great presence. He looked like he had a lot of fun.
I think that a lot of people respected him as well. He's a big name.
Again, I respect Zico, but also like the producers and the what's it called? The choreographer and everything that were there with him helped far more.
Right.
That's why he always had two people and Rain only had one with him.
Exactly. And then when they decided to do their dance team, they instantly chose Nikki.
Which
and
again,
then,
I think Nikki... I feel bad for Nikki.
I feel bad for Nikki as well. And
we'll
that's
get to
more
more of why I feel bad for Nikki, but we'll continue on. They also had Nicholas,
and they had J-Ho, which, if you
J-Ho
remember back from their introduction performances, it was Nikki, Nicholas, and Hanbin who were in a team together, and they performed dropping.
Yep.
So in the middle of them practicing, Nikki goes over and says, hey, Hanbin, do you want to take his part? Because I don't think he's doing that well, and it would be nice to have the three back together. And so Hanbin is reluctant to do it. He tries practicing, doesn't really learn it so well. And when they come to the midweek evaluation, he's like, let's see. Rain's like, oh, let's see whoever wants to do the part. So they showed both Hanbin and J-Ho, and J-Ho was better just because he had more practice, was confident in it, and Hanbin was like reluctant to take someone else's spot as well.
Yeah,
that was the other thing.
Like I think Hanbin could have done it, and I think
he does. I mean, he was the Vietnamese like dance team leader. Or whatever. That's his thing.
He is a dancer.
That's
sort of where a lot of people are seeing this thing with Hanbin is like, I think Hanbin might be on one hand too nice, and I think being in ground so long may have cut a lot of confidence.
That's
because I do think part of the reason, like, he's a great, like, if you go back, you can easily find videos of him dancing.
Yeah.
And he's really good. Like, he's good.
And he's also a really nice guy. I think he's he's been the most, like, you know.
And I will say, I am happy he's getting he has so many fans.
So he's probably the most
gonna
popular
make
ground member. We'll talk about that.
We'll see, because again, now that we have the people that have, like, gone down, we'll sort of debate who's gonna make it into the group. But I think overall, I think that Hanbin, I don't know what's, like, mental, like, I think that there's, like, because he's good, but I don't know, like, if what's going on the show, is it editing or what's happening?
I don't know. But
I don't know what's happening with him, but I hope that he just gets out of this funk.
For sure.
I feel like he's in, like, a weird mental funk right now.
And so, when they perform they take J-Ho instead. They
Yep.
go with their original squad.
Which again, overall it is like if you compare it, he did do better, so he did deserve the spot. Not saying anything against J-Ho, who did deserve it to be there.
And a little shining another moment where they're given the choreography and they literally have a little b-boy section, and who are they going to ask to do that?
I wonder.
Oh, maybe the resident b-boy should do that part.
Yep. So Nicholas,
I think you will do this very well.
Yep.
And so that was
again,
another moment.
Another presenting the problem. Let's see if they have like the analytical thinking to figure out who can take what is easier, to give it to the b-boy or to teach someone else how to b-boy.
Exactly. So it was kind of another one of those moments. And then for their one-of-a-kind choreography, they decided to, as three, develop and create a little choreography.
Yep. And so their songs were Warrior Descent by H.O.T., Reversal by X-Teen, and then they had the one-of-a-kind GD song. Which, again, overall, I also enjoyed this group.
Yep.
But I do feel bad for Nikki.
Yep.
Because Nikki is, again, put in a position where look, and this is going to be a weird comparison. I think that Island has enough leaders where they are, like, they're the people they can lean on. They have Haesung, they have K, they even had Xion, and, like, they are good. They're fine.
They have enough.
Ground has no leader. Ground, like, the leader is bouncing back and forth because Jay will come in and be leader, and then someone else will come. Like, the fact that everyone keeps moving up and down, there's never a clear leader, and somehow they keep trying to make Nikki their leader, but Nikki is 14.
Yes.
Nikki is a child, and I don't think Nikki wants it.
No, he
but
doesn't.
I also think
he keeps thinking he fails because of trying to help babysit, you know?
Like, they keep, like, he is, like, expected to learn the choreo and teach the choreo and do everything at the same time.
And then also worry about his own individual performance.
And then they keep also giving him massive parts. Like, he is center. He is the first, like, he gets big parts in all of the ground performances. He is chosen as the representative. And it's just a sort of, it's not that I don't think Nikki would volunteer for it, because he would. I do think Nikki would have still volunteered for that representative performance. But they don't even give him the option. They sort of are like, oh, Nikki, you should do it.
Right.
As opposed to letting Nikki volunteer himself. Which is a similar thing that they did with K. The difference is K is 22 and Nikki is 14.
Yes.
And I think that that's sort of I feel bad for him.
Yes. And then it came up to performance time. And so the vocals went first. So Island performed first. Then it was Gunyu and Haesung performed Butterfly. And
they
just
did
as
amazing,
a quick
expected
synopsis of that, it was breathtakingly beautiful. It was so good. I was
single
super
tear
pleased,
rolled down my face.
For sure. It was exactly what we wanted from the two best singers, and basically in our hearts at that point we were like, this is their ticket to freedom. I will move on. And then Ground performs, and Daniel. It was great. It really was.
It was amazing. I loved it. Daniel did amazing.
He did.
Sonu did really good.
Yes. And I think the producers, when they were discussing who should win, they said that, Island was perfect. There's nothing I would have changed.
Everything was perfect.
But Ground was also way more emotional, but I didn't feel like it was as good. You know, like, they performed great, but it was definitely a different side. So, do you give it to the better one, or do you give it to the better,
the more emotional
delivery? You know,
exactly.
kind of a deal. So they ended up giving it to Island. So
Island got an 81, Ground got a 74, which again is not terribly dissimilar scores because these are overall based on number. So like it wouldn't be like it's not a total blowout that like now we know Island's gonna it's could have very easily
ain't that bad.
Yeah, it's very easy for them for it all to switch over, but overall I feel like I felt a lot of emotion from the Island performance, but also Butterfly is a very different emotion to save me. I do think that you're comparing two different emotions.
Yeah.
And I think both of them did incredibly well, and I do think that if both deliveries for me are good, then I have to go with the better singers.
Right.
Which, again, they're the two best singers on this show.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it was like, if they didn't win, I would have been sad. But I also
Dan would have like throw your headphones, just be like, I'm done.
Yeah, because it's just like, why would you not give it to the best people?
Because they couldn't find anything wrong to
That's
say
what they
about
did.
them
In their midweek evaluation, they're basically like, all right, who else wants to try for this first part? Just, if they get sick or anything.
I remember.
And then it's just like,
they better not get sick.
Yeah, you better not get sick, because they... And that's the thing. They also even said in the midweek, don't change anything. It's perfect. That's pretty much what they said. Just do that and you'll be fine. And
that's the other thing of, like, it ended up being, like, no one else tried to... Because with the dance performances, everyone else was, like, practicing in case something happened, in case something needed. No one was practicing singing Butterfly, because they were like, no, these two were going to be fine.
The dancers were a bit more, and we talked about that. So, yeah. And then it came up to the dance teams.
Performances.
So Ground performed first for this one, and it was good.
Well.
Nicholas got to do his little b-boy part. Nikki shined. J-Ho was fine as well. Yeah,
Nikki did a flip. It was great.
And then they did their own like little personal choreo, and it was cute. It fit the song, and they ended off like.
Can you tell neither of us are dancers that were like
I didn't see anything noticeably wrong, so it was a good transition and stuff.
Look, as long as no one falls flat on their face, I really don't notice that much like dancing technique. I don't know much about dancing technique, but they did well. And then Island performed. And they did. For me, it was very, very good. Like, it was like not so much noticeably like a blowout, but which I did notice from Island was that they had way better stage presence.
Mm-hmm.
Their stage they owned that stage. Well. Facial expressions. K's facial expressions are
10 out of
incredible. 10. He's one of my favorites with the facial expressions. He's just so good.
Yeah, we compared it to, and even the producers compared it to Haesung in Fire. Just how he just looked.
He looks like an idol.
Exactly.
He looks ready for debut.
And so K in this performance really was like great. And then it got down to the one of a kind, his choreo, and that pretty much I think is what sealed the deal. The producers loved it. They do this certain move. It just fits so well with the song, his face, everything about it. It was his idea, and it was perfect. They even when they went afterward to meet with Ground, they're like, "Hey, did you guys see that K move? It was really good. That's probably why you guys didn't do it. Don't beat yourselves up." Because Island won that as well.
Island got a 73, Ground got a 65.
So Island won both of those.
Island won both,
meant they won overall. So that means nothing
no one
changed.
leaves.
So
everyone
stays the same.
Yep.
And so it was kind of like, wow, that was interesting, but nothing changed.
In a way, I do feel like it was a way to just highlight certain people.
It was.
But then again, the people that are being highlighted are the same people that the show has been highlighting this whole time.
Yes.
Like K,
it was all our favorites.
Haesung, Gunyu, Daniel, Nikki, Jay,
Daniel. Yeah, all the
I'm like,
big
you're just
people.
highlighting the same
Jungwon
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not that anything's wrong with that. It just, I feel like what this could have been was a chance for someone to come out of the woodwork and just shine. That really didn't happen.
But it's hard because when you have your representatives, you're just like, well, we're obviously going to put in the best people.
The best people. And the best people are the ones that have been shining the whole way.
Exactly.
Through this show.
I'm not going to throw in a risky pick, which is what they tried to do with Hanbin and also Sung Chul. But they're just like, at the end, they're just like, nope, we're going to go with the safe bet because we don't want to lose this. So, yeah.
And then
they kind of Ground beat themselves up
Island,
a bit, but they also felt like, I can see why the other team won.
Like, the thing was, like, if you look at the two performances, no one did, and you can even tell by the scores, no one did so exceptionally better than the other one.
No, they were both really good.
But you can tell one... Like, you can kind of, like, you understand why Island won both. You're like, no, it makes sense.
And then Ground at the end, when they went to meet with Ground, they're like, hey, did you guys notice that at the start of your Ground dance performance, you guys were off center? Same thing with the vocal team. You were not off. You were off. You weren't in the right place together. So little things like that kind of like...
Again, when no one makes a disastrous mistake, which is what I think sometimes happens in a lot of these shows where it's like...
How Jake got sent to Ground at the very beginning because his mic didn't work, so he didn't sing.
Yep. And that's not necessarily your fault.
Obvious, it's a mistake.
Again,
and that's
when you're comparing good thing, you're looking for anything. You're looking for any little thing that's just gonna give you what happened. Like, you have to... You're splitting hairs at this point, but you have to. There has to be a reason. And when all the big things are good... That's when you start, it's looking at the little things.
Exactly. And so that's it for that episode, which then leads us
to
episode...
That's the fifth
episode.
Test.
Yeah, 4th test. And so then they're like, all right, guys, final test. And we're just like, I'm just like, what? What? Final 12? What's going on? Already? Oh, okay. I don't know what to think anymore.
This is episode 6.
This is episode 6, just 12 episodes. What's going on? So, yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. It was super confusing. So... I was kind of like taken off guard, but
so essentially they get a song. Island and Ground get it's like the intro performance all over again. You get a song and do well. And so essentially Island has to perform, decide your parts, decide everything, practice it. The song is incredible or credible. We're calling it incredible because that's how English works. That's actually a word. And so they essentially have the 12 parts, and everyone takes one.
Yep. And Ground is given the same thing. And
Ground's given the same thing, and the thing is, after the Island performance, 6 people will leave. 6 people are, no matter how good it is, 6 people are going to get kicked out. 3 of them chosen by the members, and 3 of them chosen by the producers. So one of the few times the producers have anything to do with eliminations on this show.
Right.
And
so it was kind of like a do. Well, it sucks because they knew they had to perform, and they knew no matter how well they would do, they would have to kick
6
someone
of them
out.
are gonna get kicked.
Exactly. So it was kind of like hard for them to. Well, not really. It was just interesting to see how they would actually perform and stuff. Mm-hmm.
And so essentially they do the parts, and like obviously part number 1 is a big part. They give that to K because he's been doing incredible this whole show, of course. And sort of everyone just falls in with all their parts, and they do this performance, and it's amazing. I loved it.
Yep. So
no one did bad.
The way they film it as well is weird because they split it up into 2 episodes, kind of like they start halfway, then don't show the performance.
Yeah, because a lot of this happens at the end of episode 5.
Right, and so then they kick someone. They kick all the people, and then
no, they show you like a preview of them kicking people. So we already knew one person that got kicked. And then at the end, they're like, oh, yeah, start voting. And we're like, wait, why can I already vote?
Voting.
Why am I voting before I see a performance? Why am I voting before I know who's kicked out of Island?
Exactly.
Because we ended up voting for, like, most of our votes went to people that stayed in Island.
Yeah,
so they were
just
useless.
Didn't know what we were doing.
Because I was like, well, I don't think I need to vote for Haesung, but I'm going to do it anyway just in case I'm wrong. Just in case he trips over his own 2 feet and falls on his face.
And they say that's enough, or he hits somebody. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We voted.
God knows. We voted. We had to, because we're like, well.
So we just voted for our favorites.
Exactly, and half of them was useless.
Half
of those votes were useless.
We say half. It shouldn't have been half. So
we should have gotten almost every single one of these right.
Yeah.
We should have only needed to vote for we only should have needed to vote for like 3 people.
Exactly.
But still, here we are.
Sucks.
We voted for all our favorites. Then finally, episode 6 happens, and they have and they do the song, and you still have a day of voting to go. So we finally actually knew who we could vote for.
Who was in danger?
Who was in danger? So, what'd you think of Incredible?
first off, the song was very good.
I like this song.
I
think
it a
it's
lot.
one of my favorite, like, this style of elimination show. They always have like their original songs. This is one of my favorites. Because I don't watch any of the other shows, but I do, like, I have heard, like, all the produces and all that. This might be one of my favorites.
Right.
And just quality-wise.
It's really good. I think I prefer the Signal song more still, but this is still very good. I think I'll enjoy it more once they perform it as a set 12.
When they have their, like...
their dedicated roles and dedicated, like, comfortable, because you could tell they're all nervous because they're like, all right, I'm performing for my life and I'm gonna be kicked no matter what.
Die.
You know?
Like, this could be my last performance. This is somehow to the death.
So I think that's why I think I'll enjoy it more once they perform it with their full emotion after being, part of the group.
But the other thing with this song is that it's not, like, it's very easy to make, and it's the other thing I think with the Signal songs. A lot of these shows make these songs super cheesy.
Yeah.
And this song is not.
It's not.
I think that
it's a debut song,
again,
if anything.
This is a real K-pop song. Like, I don't want to say a real K-pop song, but it's like, this could be, with a lot of these shows, they are just a song for a show.
Right.
Even, like, the Signal song, but if this was just given to someone, and they gave the Signal song to IU, and I'm like, no, that just sounds like an IU song. Like, this,
exactly, which is funny, because then
this, it works in the show, but it also works as just a song.
Yeah, which is really exciting to hear.
And that's the other thing, like, with Incredible, even though it's a stupid way of writing that.
We also have to talk about the dance, which is very hard.
Great.
They're given a lot of time, and they're like, this is so much harder than the Signal song. Oh my gosh.
It's a debut
struggling.
song. It's a debut. Like, this is debut level K-pop right here.
Right.
Like, if you watch, especially, not so much the ground performance, because it's far more people, and we'll get to that, but, like, if you watch just the island version of Incredible, and you watch it, and you're like, oh no, this is a group's debut stage. Like,
yes.
This is the song works as a debut song, and it's not a song, it doesn't sound like it sounds like an actual K-pop song. The dance is an actual K-pop level, debut level, rookie level dance. It's not brought down, it's legitimately brought up, and, like, It's so good, and it works. And it's weird that we're still gonna get more performances, because I'm like, where do you go from here? What happens now? What missions are we doing? Or is this just going to be them preparing for their debut?
Yep.
Who knows? But I think it works very well.
Yeah. So they perform. They divide their parts. They chose K as their center, and they put them all in decent positions, so they all were able to.
And everyone had a moment.
They did.
More so
even the number 12, which is
which is
surprising.
usually like, oh, you're in the back somewhere. I don't remember where you went.
Exactly. And then it got down to the votes. And so when they actually got told to vote, they were actually given everyone's score. So they could see who was the best, and they could see who was the worst based off the producers.
Was the best.
Which were wrong, of course. But
I mean, the producers are not intelligent. I'm sorry. They have no idea what they're doing, and I'm very mad. But we'll get there.
Yes.
So.
They did go through a little bit of a shake-up in positioning. Originally, it was Jungwon, who was part of the dance team, who can also sing very well, was going to take the position 5, which has a solo dance part. And he was doing it all right, and then at the midweek evaluation they said, hey, you're doing all right, but I feel
let's see if we switch this
if
and
you
try
gave it to
with
someone a little bit better at it with the facial expressions and emotion, that it could be a better.
What I will say is I do like that this show does bring up facial expressions.
Yes, because it is a huge part of...
Because it's not something... A lot of people often ask, like, oh, facial expressions, what does that mean? And I'm like, watch The Idol. Look at their face. it fits at any moment. It fits the given song, and like you can really tell, especially with debut idols, that like if they're kind of always rocky with it, and then you watch like it's one of the biggest things with idols. It is. Because you don't think about it, because they always just have the correct facial expression because they know what to do. But when you see someone that's doing it off, you really can tell immediately. It throws the whole thing off. Like it throws, like you can tell when it's you ignore. Yeah. It's one of those things where you ignore it when it's good because it just becomes part of the greater performance. But when it's wrong, you can immediately tell exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Right. So then it got to the performance. They're giving everyone's score, and so they decide to switch at the last minute Haesung for the dance position, and they put Jungwon on one of the main vocal positions.
And he's actually second position. So it was K is center, then it's weird because the actual positions don't necessarily go with the amount of screen time.
Right.
Yeah, but I do think it overall is just when you come into like I think when your first vocal line is probably.
Right.
So he's like second to sing.
Yep. So the
can
producers
we talk
loved
about
it.
this? Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the scoring?
Yes. So Jungwon got the best score, and
he got an 83, which is a great score.
I think was deserved. I think that it was the best decision they could have done was to swap them.
Yeah, I think overall it benefited both of them really well, because I do think while Haesung is a great vocalist, I do think that like him having that solo role fit him really well, and I think that
a lot more. Yeah. Yes.
I think it benefited both of them, and Haesung ended up with a 70, which is another really good score.
Yes.
So, like, both of them did good. Other people that did really well, Sunghoon had an 81, which he somehow has slowly become one of my favorites on this show.
Yep.
Like, he is just so talented, so charming, so
Jake,
sweet.
Who performed
Jake got
really
a 75.
Jay got a 76. I think
Jay got a 76.
Producers were really happy to see Jake, especially because they were the first to bash him for his poor performance. He got the lowest score at the first ever round one.
Yep.
With a 40. Yep. And he ended up with a 75 towards the very end. So congrats for him.
It's deserved. It's
deserved.
Really deserved.
I think
the biggest.
It was a wake-up moment from that first episode for him, and he's just like, oh, gosh, I messed up.
He's like, I did well.
I so
I think he's been working toward getting that opportunity, because from there, he was in Ground for Fire. So this is, like, the first time he's really had, like, a chance.
Yeah, because he wasn't one of the representatives.
Nope.
And notable to mention, Jay as well, which was, again, I think the turning point for us, was how they practiced, because as we mentioned before, this is a really hard choreography to try and fit together. And
even
so
just learn on your own, even just learn for you, for each of them individually to be able to do it.
Because they knew it was all going to be down to like this last performance, so they're just like, well, everyone try your best, good luck, take your little iPad and go dance. And but so also, a lot of them,
I love the fact that this show, I'm curious if they're finally gonna actually give these guys actual training, because they have yet to have a mentor teach them anything. Yeah. No, their mentors just come in and give them advice after everything is sort of set in stone.
Yeah.
And then sort of make minor changes. No one has yet to come in and teach them
after they debut.
Anything.
They're just going to be
they're going to take a page
still
out of 17.
teaching their own choreography, and they're still going to be picking each other's vocals.
They're going to essentially, they're like, okay, here's the song, have fun. They're going to give them just a sheet music. They're just going to give them sheet music. They're like, okay, we have a track in the back, figure it out. Here's the iPad, have fun. This is we're doing this on the cheap.
This is the debut squad. This is how big it handles a 12-member group. They just have them run themselves.
It's the same budget. They have the same budget as TXT, so they got to make cuts somewhere. It's either dance teacher or
hire
food.
a dance teacher or a freaking mansion where they can all sleep in.
It's either that or the rent for this island complex you guys are
pretty much. They're still paying off the loan.
No, but
So
overall,
yeah, the notable
but then we get
performances.
to my
Jay and Jake, I was just gonna say, were the two that managed to learn the choreography and then
and
also
helped
teach
others.
it, and then
Yeah.
that also earned them a lot of credit because this is all going down to they're gonna have to end up kicking 3 of these people.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Can we talk about, I think now is the time, because everybody else did like range of like 65, 60s. Can we talk about the 2 lowest scores and the fact that I am mad, angry, and
Yes.
upset?
yes,
So, K got a 61, which is bullshit. And
yes,
Gongyu got a 60, which is more bullshit. Which is
Yes.
even more bullshit.
yes.
So, what the hell? Explain to me, I don't know what is the like, I get it. He wasn't as, like, super shiny standout as in that Fire performance where he got that 88.
Right.
But that's a once in a lifetime. Like, he was not thinking that this is the last time I'm ever going to try and be an idol. Like, this is my last chance here. And he did so well. Like, he was still charismatic. He still did the dance so well. He sang really well. And Gongyu, they said the words, he hasn't evolved, he hasn't grown, he stayed consistently the same. My thing is,
also said
what is wrong with
he can sing
you?
really well and he can dance very well and he stayed consistent, and that's what I was just like, but you just
But
said
those are all benefits. Like,
those are all good. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you want him to do? He's already
Did you
great.
want him to be worse and then get, like, I get
That's
it.
the
They
thing.
want people to get better. They want people to grow and evolve. But when you are already at top level, when you're already ready, guess something else. And this is just BS because of his reality show. Haesung. Haesung grew and evolved as a person. But he did not, his talent has not gotten exceptionally better because his talent was already top tier before.
Right.
So what did you expect to happen? Like, you can't, all of this blows my mind in a way that I cannot process what was said.
Yeah,
I was just like, this makes no sense. I think you're just like, what about this makes it the worst of
the group?
All 12 of them.
Yeah.
It made no sense to me.
It didn't make
I think
much
it was
sense.
like, if you watch the performance, they're good. No one is bad, but also no. Like, I get that someone had to be last, but he was just so consistent throughout that whole show.
Yeah.
That it doesn't make sense to me. So
it got to the voting, and so they had to vote 3 people off first.
And they voted.
Is what they did.
Yep, they voted Jaebum, Youngbin, and Kyungmin, who had parts 10, 11, and 12. So, like,
it's honestly not surprising.
Nope.
They got the lowest parts because they were the least to shine throughout.
Yep. And they were also the people that kept getting bounced back up and down.
Yeah. So it kind of was expected. It was nothing. And that's just also something to point out. That K and Gunyu both got the lowest scores. But
And
they were not voted out.
They were not
when
voted
you're given
out.
a testament of all the points, and then you're told, I have to vote someone else. Well, logic would dictate that saying, all right, well, they obviously were the worst, so if I vote them out, it's not on me anymore.
Logical.
It's the fact. It makes sense. But no,
but again,
they didn't.
No, because they know, they've been with these people for this whole time, and they're like, no, they are good. They should not be voted. They don't deserve to be voted out, which is correct. Right. Why are these actual children far more... I have thoughts on these judges. I'm gonna hold my tongue.
Yes. So they immediately... Those 3 were out. And so there was some sadness. And so then their producers are like, all right, time to discuss who we're going to kick out. So
they end up kicking out...
EJ.
Which I think I almost
we'll talk
expected.
about Seon first, because they told Seon was first, and he was actually teased in the episode before.
They showed that he was gonna get kicked. They showed that
he was gonna get kicked.
And I kind of knew it was gonna be that by the producers, because I did not think anybody would actually kick him.
No, neither did I. I think that
wouldn't. I think
that they still respect his opinion. He is a lot older, and so and he is a peacekeeper of sorts, and
and he also has just helped in a way, sort of
support.
Keeping everybody together and been a support. But
he isn't on the caliber of some of the others,
and that's what they said. He's not on he's kind of coasted.
Yeah.
Nothing exceptionally terrible, but nothing like. And look, we had opinions on Xion.
Yes, and there's a lot of opinions on Xion.
And there's a lot of opinions on the internet about him. But I have softened a lot on him.
Yes.
I still don't think he is on the caliber of a lot of the other trainees on the show at this moment. But
I also see his value.
I see the value in him, and I also do think that he has a lot of passion. And I think that he's just doing what he thinks needs to be done. I think he's just doing his best and trying, and I don't know, the way that comes across to certain people is mixed at times, but I don't think that I've softened on him. I had stronger opinions before.
Right.
I think that you had a similar arc with him that I did.
Yeah, and I think so so he got kicked, and EJ got kicked, and then lastly, they're like, we need one more person. And they're like, all right, let's talk about it. We're going to kick K or Gunyu. And we're both like,
why are these two, like, why are these two the two? Like, there's so many other people. There's at least 5 other people. There's at least, like, 4 other people, 5 other people that you could kick right now. Why are we discussing these two? But then again, I'm thinking about the other people that had still been left, and I'm like, well, I also don't want him out. I also don't want him out.
Sunghoon,
I also don't want him. Jake.
And Jake. And
I'm
honestly,
like,
they all performed really well. So
I'm like, I don't want him out. I'm like, why? But also, like, the fact that it was Gunyu that I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. Why are these two the ones we're discussing?
Right.
And then they pick Gunyu, and I am immediately enraged.
It was shocking and enraging.
I was enraged that I had to literally stop watching for a little bit. I kind of got up and walked away and was like, this is a count to 10 moment where, like, you can't keep watching the show. Like, you need to hold on. You need to, like, go relax, watch something else, calm down, and then go finish that, because I was enraged.
And there was tears all around, and they're sent to
crying,
ground. And so they show up to ground unexpectedly, because all of ground is surprised. Like, what are they doing here?
Already?
What's going on? They're kicked.
Gunyu,
we haven't performed yet. What's going on?
Like, what happens
so then,
now?
They get
all
told,
walk in.
Hey guys, all 16 of you have to perform, and this will be your last performance.
Let's do it this way. They all walk in, and the last person that walks in is Gunyu. And they're all like, why the fuck are you here? And my question's exactly. And I think Gungyu's question exactly. Everyone had the same of like, I don't know why I'm here.
I don't know what
I've
done wrong.
What have I done? And I do think that's a moment that he had, because he was like, I don't know what I did wrong. Have I done something? Like, everything? What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And the answer is nothing. You did nothing wrong, which is the problem with this show. He did nothing wrong. Gunyu did nothing wrong. Leave him alone.
Right.
So, essentially, Ground had been practicing to do the performance Yeah, they had their parts, and they were going to do the performance, and then they get the new thing of, like, throw this in there. Like, never mind, it's now a 16 parts. All the 6 members of Island have to do it again. And I'm like, what? They have to perform this song
and it was
again.
Like they had like, what, 2 days to perform?
Yeah, they had 2 days to learn a different part of the song.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody sort of started getting different parts. I think sort of most things stayed the same. I think the biggest thing was that Hanbin had the first part. He had the center part. And when Island goes down to Ground, they're like, they have to pick parts, and I think a lot of them wanted this first. They're like, no, I want to be center. And they try it out, and then they end up switching that center part to Gunyu, because he is at this point determined.
Yeah, it was kind of like
hard mode has activated.
He showed up, and he's like, who gets number 1? I think Gunyu deserves it.
And like, Gunyu's like, I want it. I'll take it. Like I've never.
I think
like,
there
I
was
think
like
Gungyu
what,
had never
6
tried
people?
to be
No,
center.
he never been center. He always
Like
tried for 2
but
or
he also
3 or
never
4.
tried to be center. Like he was always
No.
like, no, I'll do like the vocal part. I'll do like the hard vocal part. I'm not gonna try to be center. He was like, no, I'm taking this center role. I am getting up there again. And I'm like, touche to you. Live your best life. You
Yep.
deserve to be there because this is bullshit. But again, holding my tongue.
Yeah.
Even though I've already said a lot of things.
Yeah, and so they performed, and then right after the performance, they said, "Hey guys, vote for the 16. You have 1 day to vote, and that's
Even
it.
though you've
We're
been
done."
voting for the past, like, week and a half, but you've been voting for everybody. So most of your votes, a lot of them didn't even matter because they showed that, at the beginning of the episode, they showed that, like, I think, Daniel was most popular in America, Nikki in Japan, Korea,
Sunu
it was
in
Sonu.
Korea, yeah, yep.
India
Hanbin
was
in Vietnam.
Obviously, I think Haesung in India, and I don't remember, they said China, but I cannot remember who was most popular in China.
Yeah. So
But,
it
like,
was kind of...
But I'm like, Haesung being the most popular in India, well, all those votes are like, poof, into the atmosphere. Those don't count.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he just is...
Oh, I think it was K, maybe. I don't remember.
Someone was most popular in China. We cannot remember.
Either way, they said that if you voted for any of those that were in ground, their votes were tripled. Thankfully, for the past week and a half, I have been voting for
Gungyu and EJ. We've both been voting for Gungyu and EJ.
Yeah.
So luckily, like, whoo!
They made it.
Whoo!
Into our final squad.
Yep. So essentially, the people that have at this point, quote unquote, won are K, Jungwon, Sehun, Sunghoon, sorry, Haesung, Jae, and Jake.
And honestly,
great
happy.
6.
Good
it's a great 6 people. It's a great solid 6, and I'm very happy.
And another thing to mention is Jay, just his turnaround towards the end.
We had such a turnaround.
We felt like we were waiting for it. We felt it was coming, but they played him as such a villainish and where he was so selfish. But it was really his competitive nature is really what it was. And as soon as it started getting towards the end, he gave up his part. He learned the choreography and had to train other people on it. He became a different person.
He's just very good.
He's just like and then he became like more group focused and stuff. He gave up his part for the group, the representative part, and he helped train others for the group.
And overall, like he found his strengths. He played to his strengths. He wasn't trying to go for like I'm gonna be the main vocalist, and I'm like Jay, you're not a main vocalist. I'm sorry. Rumor has it he's gonna be a rapper, and I'm like probably.
Yeah.
Rumor
has it him and Jake are rappers, so we'll find out.
Sure. I've yet to know who would be the rapper of this group, but I do think that those are 2 good contenders for that. God knows what they had been training for as trainees, because I don't think Big Hit just has all of their trainees be trying to be singers.
Yeah.
But, so...
Let's say a 12 members vocalist group, no rapping.
Yeah, 12 member, no rapping. It's just bringing K-pop back to its roots of, what the hell's rap?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, we have 6 spots open. Who, Dan, are taking those 6 spots? Who do you want?
Who do we predict, or who do we want?
Let's do both. Let's go first with who do we want.
Alright. Who I want. I think the obvious one I want the most is Gungyu. So Gungyu is my number 1 pick. My second pick is Daniel. Those 2 are my top 2 picks.
C.
And I think you agree with those as well.
Oh, I love both. Like, I think we have the same 6. It's Gungyu, Daniel. I personally really want EJ back.
I want EJ. I want Nikki.
I do want Nick. We've also had a turnaround on Nikki. We've also had such a turnaround on Nikki because we're like, at the beginning we weren't sure what was happening with Nikki, and then
reminded of his youth.
I'm reminded that he's 14 years old, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that everything about this makes sense, and he's so talented that I do think that he's a great addition to this group.
Yep.
So far Gungyu, Daniel, EJ, Nikki, 2 more.
I think I would be happy with Sonu.
Yeah, I like Sonu.
I like
Has a great.
He's also very popular, so I can pretty much predict that he will make it in.
And last person.
The last person that I really want. I think I want Nicholas.
You want Nicholas?
Yeah, I like Nicholas.
I was thinking either for me it would either be Nicholas, and I also kind of liked Young Ben.
Young Ben as well. Who is it? You said Taeyong?
No, Nicholas or Young Ben.
Okay.
Taeyong is my another option. He's another option.
It really is any one of those.
It's really any, but who do we now is the big question.
Okay, so for predictions, I can guarantee you
it's going to be Hanbin is going to make it in this group. He is just gonna make it. I'm betting it now. He is
so popular. In terms of views, and in Vietnam, they want their Vietnamese idol, and I'm okay with it. Again,
I like him.
From what we've seen from him, I think he's pretty cute and nice.
I wanted more content from him before I
wanted him to make it to Island to be able to show that aspect of him, not this one. Yeah. So I can pretty much guarantee he's gonna make it. I can guarantee Sonu's gonna make it.
Sonu's gonna make it, definitely. I think Daniel's gonna make it. Just because of that international popularity.
And Nikki's gonna make it.
Nikki's gonna make it because of the Japan popularity. Gunyu better make it, or else I'm swimming to Korea.
Gunyu, I think everyone will be voted for as soon as he's obviously the most talented vote, so we'll put him on there.
Gunyu better make it, or I am swimming to Korea.
If Gunyu doesn't make it, they better bring back a Momo, you got eliminated, but we're bringing him back. Because
I will be so mad.
Make it a 13-member group for crying out loud. There's no way this boy can't
Gunyu back in there, damn it.
Dude, if it does, I'll switch all my profiles and names to Justice for Gunyu, okay? Calling it now.
That's the knee slap. We're stealing the knee slappers
account. We're rebranding.
Justice for Gunyu.
Justice.
That's how we get kicked off this. That's how we get locked out of this podcast. That's how we get locked out of our podcast Twitter.
Yep.
That's how we get locked out.
The passwords and everything change.
Yep.
And then for the last two to predict, or the last one, is there one more person we need? I don't know.
What was it? We said Daniel, Sonu, Gunyu, probably Hanbin.
That's 4. So 2
Nikki.
More.
No,
5.
Nikki.
So 1 more. For the last person who I think EJ is a contender. And I also think
EJ's a contender.
Seon might also be a contender.
Seon might, and I would be fine with that. I'm fine with anyone, honestly, at this point. I mean, there's people I'm not fine. There's people I'm more iffy on that I'd prefer. There's people I prefer more, but there's no one in this list that I'm no, you're terrible. I hate you.
Yeah, there isn't really anyone like that. I think they all worked enough to make me...
They all deserve it. And I'm just sort of especially with the 6 that are already...
it'll make it to in this group. They might make it in
another
group. They're
gonna, disperse, and we're gonna see, a random group here, random soloist over here, random person in group C, D, E, and Q over there. Yeah.
I hope so. But we'll find out.
I bet you. I bet that's gonna happen.
Someone, if one of these don't make it.
Yeah, if they don't make it here, they're going to make it
If it wasn't a 12-member group, I think there would definitely be a lot more to break out into a group. Because I feel like we can get 11 really easily who should be in the group, and then a 12th member maybe, I feel like 12 is...
a 12th surprise member.
Yeah.
Because we have a solid 11 that we are, have our hearts set on.
And
but
that 12th really
member is a surprise that who knows could be our bias.
Who knows? Well, I think I know who my bias is, so I don't.
Is yours Haesung?
Haesung or Gun? Yeah, they're both too good.
Well, we are not sure.
But let's be real. This is an OT12. There's no one I want out of this group. I have a
bias. I have 5 biases right now. I'm well, it could be this. It's all of them. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
I'm looking forward to finish off I cannot wait until there's a final 12 and I can relax, is all I'm saying. Like, I don't
more
care at
relaxing.
this point. Just, like, give me my boys so that I can start standing. Because right now they're broken
So
up
that
in
we
shambles.
can just so that we can just start pre-order that massive like pre-order of like we'll buy. This is where me and Dan we bought 60 copies of one album just for support. We become
Just for
those
support.
K-pop
Oh,
stands.
no.
We become those K-pop stands.
Become talking earlier about if you don't have a K-pop debt, you're not a true fan. This is how it starts.
This is how it starts.
Yeah.
But it's not Dan's not gonna go into twice K-pop debt. He's going into island group.
I never
K-pop
thought it would
debt.
happen to these guys.
Big Hit already has too much of my money.
Yeah.
This is just more money. I might as well just like funnel it directly into Big Hit's pockets. I'm just like, here, Bang PD, just take it. Just take it. But do we want to talk about the 7th episode?
I haven't.
Clip show.
It's a clip show
That neither of us watched entirely.
I didn't. I'll eventually watch it. I think right before this, where we finally decide. I think I'll have the heart to watch it. But right now,
I like nothing. The problem with it is that it wasn't anything new. Like, if you're gonna show me a clip show, show me new clips.
Behind the scenes.
Don't show me the same clips I've already seen and podcasted
Especially
about.
for us and, podcasts about we've broken down this show so much. We've literally talked about it for
8-hour-long
days.
conversation. We've had...
So, it's not new to us. We've already broken these clips down already, essentially.
I don't know if none of you know this, but me and Dan have, at least 4 hours of island conversation a week. Off recording. Not recording. And then plus I think we talk, an hour before we start recording this just to get our thoughts out.
Yeah.
And then we do this, which is more.
Yeah.
And now we're probably going to finish this and talk about it for, another half hour.
Yeah.
For things that we can't say on podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that pretty much finishes the breakdown of the episodes. There is one last thing that happened at the very end of episode 6 that we want to take a moment to realize is poor Yoonwon. He stepped down from the show. He had a leg injury, I think is what he talked about, and it was ever since the start. He kind of got I have to be on the show because I've already committed to it.
I've already committed to the show. I'm already here, but I'm injured and I can't really perform to the best of my ability. I am going to try my best.
And then I think it was after the ground performance was kind of less because they don't really show much of him anyway.
No. Yeah, he was one of the ground performers that was in ground the whole time and sort of not. They didn't spotlight him, and I think partially because they knew he was injured, and they, who knows how long that they had already, in terms of editing, that he had already been gone, so they could kind of edit him down.
Exactly.
So
he did step down.
I hope he ends up debuting in another group because he was talented.
So too, because he also said this isn't the end for me, but I obviously know I'm not gonna make it into this group, so I'm gonna step down, recover, and then try again and continue training and stuff. So
he did the J Park performance and he did pretty well. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
he did the All I Want to Do performance, which is really where he shined the most because that was it was him, Taeyoung, and Jungwon, and honestly, I hope he does well. I hope it's not the last we see of him.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
It was. So, we'll see what happens.
I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'm also,
yeah.
Friday's gonna be interesting.
Friday's gonna be... I don't know. For this episode, for episode 7, I was kind of I'm gonna ignore all media whatsoever. Avoid everyone that I know has ever watched it or talked about it because I do not want to get it spoiled. Because we both had it spoiled to us that Gunyo was going to get kicked down. Because we got a notification saying, vote now because you have 1 day to vote for
and then when you
6.
And then when you go into the Weverse app, the only options to vote are the people that are in ground.
And then we see Gunyo there, and I'm just is this a mistake?
Like, why can I still vote for Gunyu? Why? What is happening?
Why are these 6 I cannot? Oh, because they're the ones that saved, and the other 6 somehow do it.
App.
Thank
you, Weavers app, for truly iconic.
So that entire episode was kind of already
not
hard.
Not ruined, but like.
You asked, you're like, is it worth watching? And I'm like, well, I think it's important to see what happens to the life saga of Gunyu in that entire episode. Because that was his episode, pretty much. It was all about him.
He was the
main character.
He's the main character tragic. In my heart too.
Oh, but yeah,
it hurts me. Him and Sunghoon are maybe my 2 like top boys right now.
Yep, I think I still throw K and
I mean, I love K. K is like
that's the thing. Like when you say like top boys versus I like is kind of like
it's all of them are my top boys. Let's be honest. Like I love everybody. Like I want a 22 member group. I'm fine with it. I'm good. 22 members. Let's get it.
Yeah. I think I'll definitely enjoy all of it more once they had just decided the 12.
Again,
and
I think
we'll find out what they'll do for the next 5 episodes or whatever.
God knows. What I will say is that no matter what the other 6 are, and we have enough of an idea, and we've been into enough of the theorizing, and we've been into enough of the community and the fans of this show.
This is what, after this episode is when I jumped.
Who's going to be in the actual group, that no matter what of the theories that we have is made, the 6 that are already in, no matter who else is in there, I think that is a solid foundation. Half of this group is so solid.
Yeah.
And the other 6, there's everyone else is so solid that this group is going to be incredible no matter what. I'm good. Right. Like I'm going to stand. I'm buying the albums. I'm buying the merch. I'm buying the light stick. At this point, I'm too deep.
Yeah.
I'm in too deep.
It's
considering
hard.
The fact that I just also ulted both Astro and SF9 this year. This is not a good year for K-pop. This is a great year for quality K-pop, but I'm just like sitting here like, well,
great year
my
for
wallet is
well,
great. My wallet's like, stop. No.
Well, yeah, that we'll find out. We don't know when we'll record again, because the original plan was, it was pretty set that it was going to be 3 episodes, and it would have made so much more sense. But now I have no idea how they're formatting this. Episode 7 was kind of not much. We might do an emergency
episode after we get the 12.
Yeah, if they didn't throw in a flashbang of, who knows what's happening next, but, you know, this is going to end up being a 6-member group, so this is part 2. What? It was just breaking down to 12, and now it's going to be a 6-member, so 6 of you stay.
No, they're going to pull a YG treasure box. It'll be 2 groups of 6.
No.
No, take nothing from YG, Big Hit. Ignore them.
Just
nothing
make a 12-member group
good.
like you promised. You got freaking 12 forks for a reason. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they have 12 forks, 12 cups, 12 chairs, 12 beds. You have a theme.
Gosh darn it.
Just keep 12. It's
12
fine.
12 is cool. 12 is a nice number.
12 is a nice number. You can break into
a lot of... for dancing is a good number. You have groups of 4, 3, 6. Like, you can do it. Like,
it's a nice even number. Divisible by a lot of other numbers. Like, it's great.
So it makes sense
fine.
For a group. You can do it really well.
Yeah, it's fine. It's also not the biggest group. I mean, you just acquired Pledis. You've acquired 17. They're bigger than 12. It's fine.
It's not a big deal. And also, since we've had enough time to watch these guys on their own, I won't feel bad if someone is thrown in the background for a little bit, because it's going to be hard for a music video to have 12 centers.
Exactly.
You know?
I know all of these people already. I'm happy. I know their names. This is the easiest I've ever learned a full K-pop group's names.
It is.
And faces.
I have to say, after
like
the first episode, I pretty much memorized most of them. It was kind of easy. Is the few that I didn't remember is that the ones that they just decided not to show.
Exactly.
So I feel bad for those people, because I don't think they'll be making it. I mean, who knows? Technically, they could if someone voted. And then there's also whatever the producers decide after the fact. But as of now, like, we pretty much have a pretty good idea just from what they have edited to
Who
make
knows?
us believe.
Mnet might throw some shady shit. Remember, this isn't a Big Hit show. This is an Mnet show. I feel like we're putting too much on Big Hit when really it's Mnet.
I hope that they've learned at least a little bit.
They better have learned. All right.
Well, yeah. Any
so that was
thoughts?
the episode. I'm nervous. I'm scared. Friday's gonna be real interesting. I'm watching the live stream. I'm not waiting. I'm watching the freaking live stream.
I don't know if I can. It sucks because I'm at work at that exact moment.
Would you like me to keep you up to? Would you like me to
not
keep
really.
you on the loop?
Want to. I can maybe find a way to record it somehow because it's weird because they live stream it and then they don't make it available.
Yeah, because it's on Viki.
And they have it. Well, Viki has to make their own subtitles. But
Well, yeah.
Big Hit makes their
Provides
own
subtitles. So like if you're.
dumb.
I don't know how you're gonna do this, Dan. I'm watching the live stream because I have to, or else I'm not gonna, or else I'm just gonna spoil myself.
Work all weekend, so.
Yeah, so I have to watch it on Friday, or else I'm not gonna watch it.
It's
so
like in the mid-afternoon, yeah.
Yep.
Well.
No, it's like in the mid-morning.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have it's gonna be an interesting Friday. I might, if you see me going off on Twitter.
I will block my own Twitter. Yes.
Block our Twitter. It's fine. But look, no matter what, this group's gonna be good. I'm excited, and that's my final thoughts. Whatever they're gonna be called.
Do you think they'll have anything related to Island? I think something maybe. I don't know.
Lost Boys.
Incredible is already their name. Into the Island. I don't know. Who knows?
No, I don't know what they're gonna be called.
Islanders. Woohoo! What a cool name. It's not a cool name.
That's a terrible name. Don't do that. Just come up with a good name, Big Hit. You've already come
then
up
maybe
with...
that's when the next 4 episodes is that you guys gotta have to decide your own fandom,
you're gonna
colors,
make your debut.
your own. You're making your own. This is how Big Hit saves money. They just have them do everything themselves. They don't provide everything. They're gonna have to like go shopping. Here's some money. Go create your own outfits for attire and music shows and stuff because we aren't doing nothing for you guys.
All right, Dan, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts is I love these boys, and I think they'll make a great group. They have a lot of talented members with good dancers, and I'm excited to see where this goes because I still have no idea how they're gonna end up. I hope they choose right is all I'm saying. If they don't, if the world is with us and
we'll see what our opinions matter.
I will think less of the world if they do not vote for the same as we. Mainly our boy Gunyu. If our boy Gunyu doesn't make it, it'll be very hard to enjoy this group. That's all I'll have to say.
I probably still will, but I will.
I still will enjoy it, but
it'll always hurt a little bit.
It'll be like he'll debut in another group, guaranteed. That's the problem. The problem
and then that's another group that we'll have to alt.
Yeah,
we'll have to go be like, well, now I'm liking this group too.
There's no way he won't debut. The guy is too obvious.
He's too talented.
So
too much
we'll see if he makes it into Island or not. But either way, I'm excited for his career because I think he deserves it. And then everyone else, because everyone else is also great.
Yep. And
I think they'll be able to grow as a unit finally. Because the whole swapping and stuff. Can you imagine? That's the other thing I was going to mention. Can you imagine if the representative performance, they had to swap out 6 people as well?
Oh my god.
And then
it was going to be like...
into the next performance where they're like, by the way, guys, 6 people.
This is your last performance and it's going to be another 6 person out. And I'm like, what?
Dude, there would have been too much swapping. I'm actually happy that Island won because I don't think I could have done it.
That's so much swapping. That would have been so much swapping so quickly. It wouldn't have made any sense.
It wouldn't have been good for the... Like, it probably would have hindered their performances for sure.
Oh, it would have made the performance terrible.
Who would have they kicked
terrible,
out, too?
But it would have been, like, weird.
But yeah, it would have been bad. So
who
I'm glad
knows?
they didn't
Because it would
have
have at least been one person... Because even if they kicked out everybody that was in the representative performance, that's still
one person that was sitting in the background. It's like, it's your fault we lost.
You're out.
What?
And I'm like,
I didn't do anything.
I didn't even do anything. I wasn't in that.
Yeah. You voted for me. How dare you? You had faith in me. I don't know what they would have done. It's crazy.
All right. So that's been our episode on the next bit of
4,
Island.
5, 6, and half of 7, I guess.
And whatever we watched of 7, because that was a waste of my time. But
it was not what we wanted. Let's
nope.
be real.
we wanted results, everyone.
We wanted results. We don't want to have to wait 2 weeks, but we are anyway.
But yep, so that's been our episode. If you like the video, like it, subscribe, look us up, see us on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, we have a lot of fun bonus videos on YouTube. Yay!
Yes.
So I've been Sammy, this was Dan.
Island.
Island.
Go watch. Otherwise, we get canceled by our own co-podcasters.
So much judgment. Yeah. But good night, everybody.
Bye.